I am your husband, but I can't disobey my mother, so just get out. You are no longer welcome in this house.
Get out! You are no longer welcome in this house, you fool!
Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Darnell stood in the doorway of their modest apartment, his arms crossed in disgust as he stared at his wife, the woman he had married 2 years ago, the woman he now considered nothing more than dead weight. Behind him, his mother and 2 younger brothers hovered like a jury, their faces twisted with contempt as midnight struck and the winter cold seeped through the open door where all of her belongings lay, scattered on the pavement outside. They had no idea that the trembling woman before them, nursing a bruised jaw from the punch her brother-in-law had just delivered, was a billionaire's only heir. A secret she had kept buried since the day she had returned from Atlanta and started working as an ordinary financial analyst in her own father's company. But tonight, as they threw her out into the freezing cold without mercy, that secret would remain hidden a little longer. What she did next would shatter everything they thought they knew about power, wealth, and the pathetic woman they had just discarded like garbage. The December wind cut through Tanisha Matthews like 1,000 frozen blades as she stood on the sidewalk, her breath forming clouds that drifted upward over the quiet Queen Street. Her jaw throbbed where Rashad's fist had connected, a sharp, pulsing pain that radiated into her skull with every heartbeat. The metallic taste of blood filled her mouth where her teeth had sliced the inside of her cheek, but she did not wipe it away. She stood perfectly still, cataloguing every sensation, every sound that drifted down from the 3rd-floor window where 4 people were celebrating what they believed was their liberation from a burden they had carried too long. Her belongings were scattered across the pavement in humiliating disarray. A black garbage bag had split open, spilling blouses and jeans onto the dirty concrete. Books lay splayed with broken spines, their pages fluttering in the wind. The framed photograph of her mother, taken 3 months before the car accident that had killed her when Tanisha was 19, lay face down near a storm drain. The glass cracked into a spiderweb pattern that distorted her smile. Everything she had owned in that apartment, everything that had composed her life for the past 2 years was now refuse on a public street. From the window above, laughter drifted down. Darnell's voice was bright and animated in a way Tanisha had not heard directed at her in months. "I swear, Mom, you should have seen her face when I told her we should get a divorce," he crowed. She actually looked surprised, like she didn't see it coming. His mother Denise's reply was muffled, but the gleeful tone carried, followed by more laughter and the sound of a cork popping. Champagne, probably, or the Prosecco Darnell liked for celebrations. They were toasting her removal, toasting Darnell's freedom, toasting a future they imagined would be brighter without the dead weight of a wife who couldn't even keep a job. Tanisha pulled her phone from her pocket with fingers that had gone numb from the cold. The screen's glow hurt her eyes, but she steadied her hand and unlocked it. Her thumb hovered over the first number she needed to call. The line connected on the second ring. 911. "What is your emergency?" the dispatcher asked. "I need to report an assault," Tanisha said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her body. "My name is Tanisha Matthews. I am at 447 Greenpoint Avenue, apartment 3B. 2 men attacked me in my home about 90 minutes ago, punched me in the face, shoved me into a door frame, then forcibly evicted me from my own apartment. They're still inside. Their names are Terrell Morrison and Rashad Morrison. I have visible injuries and I want to press charges." The dispatcher's tone shifted at once. "Ma'am, are you in immediate danger? Do you need medical assistance?" "I'm outside the building now," Tanisha replied. "My injuries are painful but not life-threatening. Swollen jaw, bruised ribs, cut above my eyebrow. I mainly need police presence to document what happened and arrest the men who assaulted me." "Officers are being dispatched to your location," she said. "Stay online, please." She asked for descriptions and Tanisha provided them. Terrell about 6'1", lean build, brown hair, grey hoodie. Rashad about 6'3", around 220 pounds, brown hair, navy jacket. She confirmed the details, promised officers would arrive shortly, and finally ended the call. Tanisha immediately dialed the second number, the one that felt heavier than calling the police. Calling her father meant admitting failure. It meant acknowledging that her experiment had collapsed in the worst possible way. But it also meant accepting rescue from a world she had been pretending did not exist. The line barely rang before a familiar voice answered. "Tanisha, what is wrong?" Calvin Matthews asked, his concern instant and sharp. Calvin had always been able to read his daughter, even over a phone line, even after 2 years of deliberate distance. He had respected Tanisha's need for space during the experiment, but he had also kept a watchful eye from afar, ready to intervene if his daughter's idealistic search for authentic love went catastrophically wrong. "Dad," Tanisha said, her voice cracking despite her effort to remain composed. "I need you. It is over. All of it. Darnell threw me out. His brothers assaulted me. I am standing on the street with my belongings in garbage bags, but I already called the police. I need you here when they arrive." Silence stretched for 3 long seconds, filled with the faint sounds of movement on Calvin's end of the line, the rustle of clothing, the muffled bark of orders given to someone nearby. When Calvin spoke again, his voice had shifted into the controlled, commanding tone that ran boardrooms and crisis meetings. "Where are you exactly?" he asked. "Greenpoint Avenue in Queens," Tanisha replied. "Building number 447. "I'm on my way," Calvin said. The call ended. Tanisha crossed the street on unsteady legs and lowered herself onto the concrete steps of the building opposite her former home. The cold seeped through her pants immediately, but the discomfort seemed distant next to the throbbing in her jaw and ribs. She touched her face gently. Her fingers came away streaked with blood from the cut above her eyebrow. She stared down at the red smear on her skin and wondered, not for the first time that night, how did it come to this? 2 years of marriage reduced to violence and eviction in a single evening. The night replayed in her mind with excruciating clarity. She had come home from work at 7, already heavy with the burden of what she was about to do. For weeks she had watched Darnell's behaviour spiral into something cold, selfish, and unrecognisable. She needed one final test to confirm what she suspected about his character, so she had planned a lie, a controlled, calculated fabrication designed to draw out the truth beneath the performance of their marriage. Darnell had been in the bedroom when she arrived, getting ready to go out. Another networking event, he had called it, though Tanisha knew from the private investigators' reports that these events usually meant meeting Rodney Hamilton at expensive hotels where he charged meals and drinks to credit cards that were already nearly maxed out. He emerged wearing a tailored suit that she guessed cost nearly $1,200. His hair and grooming flawless. He barely glanced at her standing in the living room. "You are home early," Darnell said, his tone suggesting inconvenience rather than pleasure. "I needed to talk to you about something," Tanisha answered, keeping her voice neutral. She had rehearsed this conversation in her head at least a dozen times. "Can you sit down for a minute?" Darnell checked the time on the Rolex watch he had bought last month despite their supposed budget issues. "I have to leave in 20 minutes, he said. "Can this wait?" "No," she said. "It cannot wait." Something in her tone made him finally focus on her. His eyes narrowed slightly as he studied her face, but he only perched on the arm of the couch. "All right," he said. "What is it?" "I lost my job today," Tanisha said. The lies slid out smoothly, her expression carefully arranged to look defeated, but not destroyed. "They called me into human resources this afternoon and told me they are eliminating my position. I am out, effective immediately." Tanisha watched Darnell's face as the words sank in, hoping for some flicker of compassion, some sign of partnership or concern. What she saw instead was a brief flash of something like satisfaction. His eyebrows rose, not in shock, but as if a suspicion had been confirmed. "You got fired," he said flatly. It was not a question. "The term they used was position eliminated," she replied, "but yes, I have been let go." Darnell stood, crossing his arms over his chest, in a gesture Tanisha had come to recognize as him preparing for an argument. "Do you have any idea what this means?" he demanded. "How are we supposed to pay rent? How are we supposed to pay for anything?" "I'll get unemployment benefits," she said, staying in character. "I can start looking for something new right away. I have good experience. I have good references." "Good references from a job you just lost," Darnell scoffed. "That will impress future employers." "I was not fired for performance," Tanisha said calmly. "The position was eliminated." "That is different." "It is the same thing," he snapped, beginning to pace. His polished shoes clicked against the hardwood floor they had installed together 18 months earlier. "You are unemployed. You cannot contribute to our expenses. You're basically useless to me right now." The words hit her like physical blows, but outwardly, she did not flinch. "That is a harsh way to put it," she said. "I thought we were partners. I thought we would support each other through difficult times." "Support you?" Darnell whirled to face her, his eyes blazing with rage that had apparently been waiting for an excuse to surface. "Do you know how much debt I am carrying, Tanisha? Do you understand the pressure I am under? I know you have been stressed, she said quietly. Stressed? He laughed bitterly. I am a manager at Matthews Financial Holdings, making $95,000 a year, married to someone who makes less than 70. Do you know how embarrassing that is? Do you know what my colleagues say? What do your colleagues say? She asked, though she already had a bleak guess. They told me I married a mere financial analyst, he said, spitting the title like an insult. Not even senior, just a basic analyst at the same company where I work, where I'm climbing the ladder while you stagnate. I have been working hard, Tanisha protested, still playing her part. I put in the hours. You show up, do your job, come home, Darnell shot back. That is not ambition. That is coasting. What do you want me to do? Tanisha asked, though she knew the answer would matter far more to her than to him. I want you to be more, he said, the words bursting out of him. I want you to want more. I want to be married to a woman who is going somewhere, not one who is content staying in the same position forever. That was the core truth. He had not married her for who she was, but for who he expected her to become in his story. So, this is about status, she said slowly, about what other people think. This is about you being a failure, Darnell snapped. When we married, you were a financial analyst while I was an intern. In 2 years, I am a manager, and you cannot even keep your job. That is pathetic. We have a good life, Tanisha said. We are healthy, we have jobs, or we did. We have each other. I do not want each other, Darnell cut in, his voice sharp as glass. I want more than this. I deserve more than this. I work hard, Tanisha. I am successful. I'm going places. You're an anchor around my neck. The metaphor was vivid and cruel. Tanisha nodded slowly. So what are you saying? She asked. I'm saying this is not working, he replied. This marriage is not working. You are not working. Darnell snatched his wallet from the coffee table. I cannot deal with this right now, he said. I have somewhere to be. You are leaving, Tanisha asked. I just told you I lost my job and you were walking out. What do you want me to do? He snapped. Hold your hand and pretend everything will be fine. We both know it will not. You're unemployed. You are a failure. I am done pretending otherwise. He moved toward the door, but Tanisha stepped into his path. Where are you going? She asked. Who are you meeting? That is none of your business, he said. You are my husband, she replied. It is absolutely my business. His face twisted with contempt. I am your husband on paper, he said. In reality, I stopped being your husband months ago when I realized you were never going to be the woman I needed. Are you having an affair? She asked. The question hung in the air. Darnell's expression answered before his mouth did. So what if I am? He said finally. At least Rodney treats me like I am worth something. At least he can afford nice restaurants and gifts. At least he feels like a real partner instead of whatever you have been. I want a divorce, Darnell said then. The words crisp and final. I want you out of this apartment. I want you out of my life. This is my apartment too, Tanisha said. My name is on the lease. I do not care, he replied. I want you gone tonight. You cannot just throw me out, Tanisha said. It does not work like that. Darnell's eyes narrowed. He pulled out his phone and made a call Tanisha could hear clearly in the small space. Mom, I need you to come over, he said. Bring Terrell and Rashad. It is time. The call lasted less than 30 seconds, but when he hung up, his face had the hard set of someone committed to his course. You have about 45 minutes before my family gets here, he said. I suggest you start packing. If you do not, they will do it for you. 47 minutes later, Denise arrived with Terrell and Rashad in tow. Tanisha heard them in the hallway before they knocked. Denise's sharp voice giving instructions, the deeper rumble of her sons agreeing. When Darnell opened the door, they entered like an invading force. Tanisha stood in the living room, outwardly calm. Inwardly, she slipped her phone onto a bookshelf and started a recording app, tucking the device so the microphone would capture everything. Denise Morrison was 58, with hard lines etched into her face and a mouth that seemed permanently turned down at the corners. She had raised 3 children alone after her husband died of a heart attack when Darnell was 14. Instead of hardship making her compassionate, it had left her bitter and obsessed with financial security. So this is the woman who cannot even keep a job, she said, looking Tanisha up and down. My son told me what happened. Mrs. Morrison, Tanisha said, keeping her tone respectful despite the hostility in the room. I understand your concern for Darnell, but this is between my husband and me. Nothing about my son is just between you and him when you're dragging him down with your failures, Denise snapped. He deserves better than this, better than you. Terrell and Rashad flanked their mother like bodyguards, both vibrating with anticipation of a confrontation. Terrell, 28, was perpetually between jobs, living with his mother after a string of failed business ventures. Rashad, 26, worked sporadically in construction, but spent more time at the gym than on any job site. Both men carried themselves like they believed their physical size made them superior. Darnell sat back on the couch like a king on his throne. "I want you to get her out," he said to his brothers. "Tonight." "You cannot remove me from my own apartment," Tanisha said. "I have legal rights." "You have nothing," Rashad said, stepping closer, looming. "You are a broke loser who just lost her job." "What are you going to do? Hire a lawyer with what money?" Tanisha held her ground, keeping her hands visible and relaxed. "I do not want to fight," she said. "If Darnell wants a divorce, we can handle it through proper legal channels, but you cannot just throw me out tonight." "Watch us," Terrell said, heading toward the bedroom without waiting for anyone's consent. What followed was systematic and humiliating. Terrell and Rashad went through every room, yanking out anything they decided was Tanisha's. Clothes from the closet, books from shelves, toiletries from the bathroom, electronics from the living room. They stuffed everything into garbage bags without caring what broke. Denise supervised from the doorway, offering a steady stream of cutting commentary. "Look at this cheap clothing," she said, holding up a blouse. "Discount stores. My son has been living like he is poor because of you." She tapped Tanisha's laptop. "This looks 10 years old. How are you supposed to find a new job with this?" She glanced at her books. "Philosophy, literature, no wonder you never made any real money." When Tanisha tried to stop them from taking the framed photograph of her mother, Rashad shoved her backward. "Do not touch our brother's property," Rashad said. "That is my mother," Tanisha protested. "That photograph is mine." "Everything in this apartment belongs to Darnell," Denise said coldly. "You have been living here on charity. That charity just ran out." They carried the first load of bags downstairs. When Tanisha attempted to follow to ensure nothing was lost, Terrell blocked the door. "Stay here," he said. "We are not done." The second load included Tanisha's laptop, her external drives full of work and personal files, and her small collection of vinyl records. Terrell dropped one bag so hard Tanisha heard plastic crack. "Please be careful," Tanisha said. "Some of that is irreplaceable." "You should have thought about that before you became a worthless failure," Rashad sneered, deliberately kicking another bag toward the door. The violence began on the third trip. Tanisha tried to pull her laptop out of a bag before Terrell could carry it away. Rashad grabbed her arm and twisted it behind her back. "I said to not touch our brother's property," Rashad growled. "That is my laptop," Tanisha said. "I bought it with my own money." "Prove it," Rashad snarled, shoving her hard into the wall. The impact knocked the breath from Tanisha's lungs. "Stop," Tanisha managed. "You are committing assault. This is illegal." "What are you going to do?" Terrell said, stepping closer. "Call the police. We will tell them you attacked us and we defended ourselves." "Who do you think they will believe? 3 honest family members protecting a man from his deadbeat wife, or the woman who just got fired?" Darnell and Denise watched without intervening, their faces showing satisfaction rather than concern. "You brought this on yourself," Darnell said. "If you had been a better provider, a better wife, none of this would be happening." On the final run, after nearly everything of hers had been thrown into bags, Tanisha tried one more time to appeal to any shred of decency left in the room. She stepped in front of Rashad, hands open. "Please," she said, "at least let me pack properly. Let me take my things with some dignity." Rashad's response was a fist to Tanisha's jaw, a sucker punch Tanisha never saw coming. Her head snapped sideways. Light burst behind her eyes. She stumbled, tasting blood. Before she could regain her footing, Terrell shoved her into the doorframe. Pain flared in her ribs with a sickening crack. "You want dignity?" Rashad loomed over her as she slid down the wall. "You should have earned dignity, you did not." They dragged her towards the front door. Darnell pulled a manila envelope from his bag. "This is for you," he said. Tanisha took it with shaking hands. Inside were divorce papers. "Sign these and maybe we will not make things worse for you," he said coolly. "I am not signing anything tonight," Tanisha said. "Then you're even more foolish than you look," Darnell replied. Denise nodded to her sons. "Get her out of here," she ordered. Terrell and Rashad lifted Tanisha bodily and carried her into the hallway. They threw her against the opposite wall and slammed the apartment door. When she tried to re-enter, Rashad blocked the doorway. "This apartment belongs to Darnell now," Rashad said. "Come near this door again, and we will call the police and say you're trespassing." Darnell stepped into the doorway, looking down at her with contempt and triumph. "This is your fault," he said, his voice carrying clearly into the cold night. "You did this to yourself by being inadequate, by being a failure, by being less than what I needed. You're nothing to me now. You always were." The door slammed shut. Through the thin window glass, Tanisha heard him again a moment later. "Finally," he said. "I thought she would never leave. I am texting Rodney to tell him I am finally free." Now, sitting on the stoop across the street, Tanisha touched her swollen jaw and felt not just pain but clarity. She had given Darnell every chance to be kind, to be a partner. He had failed every test, but in failing he had shown her exactly who he was. Red and blue lights appeared at the corner, flashing silently. 2 police cruisers rolled down the block and stopped beside the pile of bags that represented her life. 4 officers stepped out. 2 came toward Tanisha while the others began photographing the scattered belongings. "Mom, are you Tanisha Matthews?" the older officer asked. "Yes," Tanisha said. "I am the one who called." "Can you tell me what happened?" the officer asked, notebook ready. Tanisha recounted everything in order. The conversation with Darnell, the lie about losing her job, his reaction, the arrival of his family, the forced packing, the blows, the threats. The younger officer took photos of her injuries, the swollen jaw, the cut above her eyebrow, the way she winced when she inhaled deeply. "You said the men who assaulted you are still in the apartment?" the older officer asked. "Yes," Tanisha said. "Terrell and Rashad Morrison, 3rd floor 3B. My husband is there and his mother, Denise." The officers nodded and headed toward the building entrance. "We will need you to stay here," one said. "An ambulance is on the way to check those injuries." Before they reached the door, a black Mercedes S-Class glided to the curb and stopped with quiet authority. James, Calvin's longtime driver, stepped out first, then opened the rear door. Calvin Matthews emerged. Calvin was 71, but moved like a man 20 years younger. His silver hair was neat despite the late hour. His charcoal overcoat perfectly cut, his posture straight and commanding. But when he saw his daughter sitting on the stoop, injured and surrounded by garbage bags, his face hardened with a fury that had nothing to do with business. He crossed the distance in long strides and crouched in front of Tanisha. "Look at you," he said softly. "Who did this?" "Darnell's brothers," Tanisha said. "Rashad punched me. Terrell shoved me into the doorframe." Her voice was steady but flat. "Dad, I am sorry. The experiment, everything, it failed." Calvin's gaze flicked over the bruises, then up to the apartment building. His jaw tightened. Behind them, the officers climbed the stairs. Shouting erupted minutes later from the 3rd floor. Male voices protesting, a female voice shrieking, officers issuing commands. Neighbors opened doors and windows, peering out into the flashing light. Terrell appeared first, handcuffed behind his back, flanked by 2 officers. "This is a mistake," he shouted as they guided him down the exterior stairs. "I did not do anything. I was just helping my brother." Rashad followed, also cuffed, struggling against the officers holding him. "She attacked us," Rashad yelled, jerking his chin toward Tanisha. "We were defending him." "You have the right to remain silent," one officer said wearily. "I suggest you use it." Darnell emerged next, not in handcuffs, but shaken. He now wore a robe over his suit, his hair mussed, his face pale. Denise followed, her face a mask of outrage and dawning fear. Both stopped abruptly when they took in the sight on the street below. Patrol cars, paramedics, the Mercedes, and Calvin standing in the middle of it all. Most of all, they saw Tanisha sitting upright on the stoop with an ice pack a paramedic had just handed her, looking battered but not broken. "What is happening?" Darnell called down, voice high and strained. "Officers, there's been a misunderstanding. Those are my brothers. They did not do anything wrong." "Sir," one of the officers said, loading Rashad into the patrol car, "they're being arrested for assault and battery. You can speak to them after they are processed." "Assault?" Darnell repeated. "No, Tanisha. Tell them. Tell them it was a misunderstanding." Tanisha did not answer. She simply looked up at him, her expression unreadable. Darnell started down the stairs but stopped when he noticed Calvin. His eyes widened. Every employee at Matthews Financial Holdings knew what the founder and chief executive officer looked like, even those who had never met him. "Mr. Matthew," he stammered, "what are you doing here?" Calvin turned to face him, his expression cold. "I'm here for my daughter, Mr. Morrison," he said evenly. "Or should I say Mr. Matthews, since it is still your legal name for the moment?" The words hit him like a physical blow. "Your daughter," he whispered. His eyes flew to Tanisha. Then back to Calvin, confusion and panic twisting his features. "That cannot be. She is a financial analyst. She makes $70,000 a year. She lives in a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens. She cannot be the only child of Calvin Matthews." Calvin finished, his voice like steel. "She cannot be the heiress to Matthews Global Enterprises, working in her own company under her real name for 2 years to see if anyone would love her for who she is instead of what she has." "That is what you mean?" The neighbors who had gathered on their balconies leaned forward, Stunned, Darnell swayed slightly, gripping the railing. "No," he whispered, but the word lacked conviction. "You're saying she could have given us. She could have given you anything," Calvin said, "but you chose to treat her as if she were nothing. You had no idea who you were throwing into the street tonight, and you did not care. My daughter pretended to have less money. She never pretended to be less of a woman." Denise stepped down beside Darnell, her face drained of color. "This is some kind of trick," she said, "some kind of game." "The only game was my daughter pretending to be ordinary," Calvin replied. "She wanted to know if anyone would stand beside her without wealth to keep them loyal. Congratulations! You and your son failed that test completely." The patrol cars pulled away from the curb, Terrell and Rashad visible through the rear windows, their faces pressed to the glass. Darnell watched them go, then spun back toward Tanisha, terror now replacing arrogance. "Tanisha, please," he said, trying to push past the officers who blocked his path. "We can fix this." "I did not know. If I had known who you really were." "And that is exactly the problem," Tanisha said quietly, rising despite the ache in her ribs. "If you had known who I was, you would have treated me differently. But you did not know. So you showed me exactly who you are. Now I believe you." "I made a mistake," he said, his voice climbing. "People make mistakes." "You did not just make a mistake," she replied. "You made a choice again and again." "You lied to me, Tanisha," he cried. "You pretended to be someone you were not." "I pretended to have less money," Tanisha said. "I never pretended to be anyone but myself. You are the one who pretended to love me while secretly despising everything about the life we shared." Calvin laid a hand on his daughter's shoulder. "We are finished here," he said. "James will collect your things. You're coming home." "Wait," Darnell said, grabbing for Tanisha's arm. She pulled away. "What about my brothers?" he demanded. "You have to drop the charges. They did not know who you were." "They knew I was your wife," Tanisha said. "That was enough. They assaulted me. They will face the consequences of that." She turned away as Darnell began to plead again. The next morning, Darnell arrived at Matthews Financial Holdings at his usual time. Bleary-eyed from a night of frantic phone calls and no sleep, he tried to badge into the building as he always did. The security guard stopped him. "Mr. Morrison," he said, "I need you to wait here a moment." "Why?" he demanded. "I work here." "Human Resources is on their way," he replied. 5 minutes later, Alicia Brown from Human Resources led Darnell into a small conference room. Alicia set a manila folder on the table and folded her hands. "Darnell, I am sorry to inform you that your employment with Matthews Financial Holdings is being terminated effective immediately," she said. "This letter details your severance package." "You are firing me," Darnell said, his voice cracking. "Why? What did I do?" "The official reason is restructuring," Alicia said carefully. "Unofficially, between us, everyone knows what happened last night. We all know now that the ordinary analyst you married is Mr. Matthews' daughter. People saw the footage from the street. There are recordings. You had her assaulted and thrown out into the cold. Did you really think you could keep working here after that?" Darnell stared at the termination letter, watching his carefully constructed career evaporate. "This is not fair," he whispered. "She lied to me. She hid who she really was." "She worked here under her own name," Alicia pointed out. "Tanisha Matthews. You never even searched it, did you? Never wondered why she had the same last name as the company? Never asked about her family?" Security escorted Darnell to his desk to pack his few personal items. Colleagues watched, some whispering, some openly staring, a few with obvious satisfaction. That same day, Rodney Hamilton received his own termination letter. Matthews Financial Holdings made it clear that anyone involved in Darnell's scheme was no longer welcome. Darnell tried calling Tanisha again as he left the building, but her number had been disconnected. When he went back to the apartment that night, the locks had already been changed. A week later, Terrell and Rashad appeared in court. The assault case against them was strong. The audio Tanisha had recorded, the photographs of her injuries, the testimony of the responding officers. Faced with overwhelming evidence, they accepted a plea deal. Each received 18 months in county jail and probation afterward. Denise sat in the gallery looking older than she had a month before. Her shoulders slumped under the weight of consequences she had never imagined. 1 month after the night on Greenpoint Avenue, Tanisha and Darnell stood across from each other in family court. Darnell wore his best suit, hair and grooming immaculate, trying desperately to project control. Tanisha stood beside her father's attorney in a perfectly tailored suit that silently broadcast the wealth he had never bothered to see. The judge reviewed the prenuptial agreement. "Ms. P.S. Matthews," the judge said, At the time of your marriage, you listed personal assets of about $47,000 in savings and a 2019 Honda Civic. You now list assets of $89,000. Mr. Matthews, you are requesting alimony and half of all marital assets based on your wife's family wealth. However, the agreement clearly states that family wealth held in trust or corporate entities not owned by Ms. Matthews during the marriage is exempt from division. Darnell's attorney whispered urgently in his ear, but he barely heard him. She is the heiress, he protested weakly. She's going to inherit billions. That should count. What Ms. Matthews may inherit in the future is irrelevant to this proceeding, the judge said. We are concerned only with assets accumulated during the marriage. The growth in your wife's personal assets is 42,000 tesels. You are entitled to half, $21,000. Given that your income exceeded hers during most of the marriage, no alimony is awarded. $21,000, Darnell repeated in disbelief. That is all. That is what you are legally entitled to, the judge said. The divorce is granted. This court is adjourned. As they left the courtroom, Darnell lunged toward Tanisha, but court security stepped between them. Tanisha, please, he begged. Give me another chance. I am sorry. I love you. I will do anything. You had 2 years to love me, Tanisha said quietly. You chose to despise me instead. You chose Rodney. You chose your ambitions. You chose to have your brothers drag me out like trash rather than show an ounce of compassion. Darnell's eyes filled with tears. I did not know who you were, he cried. If I had known. That is exactly why I cannot ever go back, Tanisha said, and there was a deep sadness beneath her calm. Because even now you are not sorry for what you did. You are only sorry that the woman you treated so badly turned out to be valuable. You do not love me, Darnell. You love what you think I can give you. I am giving you exactly what you earned. She stepped away. Nothing. 6 months later, Tanisha Matthews was introduced to the public as Executive Vice President of Matthews Global Enterprises at a press conference that dominated financial news. The story of the billionaire's heir, who had worked as an ordinary analyst for 2 years, spread quickly. Business schools dissected it. Articles analysed her experiment. Everyone knew the story of the husband who never bothered to search his wife's name, and the divorce that cost him a fortune he never knew was within reach. Darnell saw the press conference on a small television in the studio apartment he now rented in New Jersey. His savings had dwindled, the $21,000 disappearing under legal bills and living expenses. Blacklisted from serious finance jobs, he worked as a server in a restaurant that paid a fraction of his old salary. Each time Tanisha's image appeared on the screen, standing beside Calvin, speaking confidently about the future of the empire she would one day run, he felt the same crushing realization. He had not simply lost a wealthy wife. He had been handed a rare chance at a life built on loyalty and trust, and had thrown it away because he could not see past money he believed she did not have. On that freezing night in Queens, he had convinced himself he was discarding a burden. Instead, he had thrown away the one person who had given him every chance to prove he was more than what he had shown her. If you enjoyed the story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.